Oh, hey there. So I just got through reading Ezekiel again, but there was a couple things that I had not noticed in the past that I thought were very interesting, and so I wanted to share them with you. One of those is that there was a group of people that were called to be priests, and at one point Ezekiel brings them in and says, God told me, here's a bunch of wine. Here's every kind of wine you can imagine. Drink and have your full. And they said, and he gathered everybody from this group of people, like all their women, children, you name it. Gathered every one of them, and they said, no thank you. God told us not to drink alcohol, therefore we don't drink alcohol. The end. And he goes, but you can have it. And they're like, we understand what you're saying. We were told not to, and so we don't. And because of this, God honored them and said, you will always have a place in my house. But then later on, at the very end of Ezekiel, he's going through this list of like who owns what part of the land and so on and so forth. And he singles this group of people out and says, because they honored me, they will have this piece of the land. They will have this part of the temple and so on and so forth. And I'm like, God stands by his word, which I think is very interesting. The next thing I thought was interesting that I didn't notice before. Okay, there's a lot of things that are interesting, but that I hadn't noticed before is that there's a river of water that flows from the temple, and it talks about it being ankle deep, and then it goes out some more space and it's knee deep, and then it's so deep that you can't get in it. But this river, this freshwater river that's flowing from the temple of God, then goes into the Dead Sea, and I hadn't noticed that before. And I've been to the Dead Sea. I swam in the Dead Sea, and I also got a drop of water in each eye and in my mouth in the Dead Sea. And let me tell you, it hurts. Nothing lives there. Bacteria doesn't live there. Nothing at all can live there. That's why it's called dead. Okay, it's where Sodom was, and it is dead, like for all of time. However, in this vision that Ezekiel had, water flows from the temple, and it says it flows into the Dead Sea. And when it does, it makes the Dead Sea, it makes the salty water, which is 9 times saltier than any ocean. It will make that salt water fresh water to the point where fish will be there again, where life will be there again. And I was like, what a beautiful picture, that something that was utterly dead, that was detestable to God to the point where he's like, I'm done with this place for all of time because you people are so wicked. And yet his holiness comes in and washes over them, and it is a place for life again. And I think that that's a beautiful story for us, because there's a lot of us that are dead inside. That we look, and another thing that Ezekiel, one of his visions, was a valley of dry bones. And he looks and there's a valley full of very, very dry bones. And God's like, prophecy to these bones so that they come together. And then they do, and all the pieces come together, and then flesh comes on them, but they still have no life in them. And he said, prophecy to these bones again, and prophecy to the 4 winds, that they will come and breathe life into these bodies. And then he does, and then these bodies have life, and there's an army of the Lord, right? And God is all about restoration. God is all about, let me take what is dead, what is hopeless, and make it into something beautiful, and make it alive again, and make it whole and pure. And I hope that that gives you hope. I hope that you look at that and you go, I want that. I feel dead. I feel like a valley of dry bones. I feel like a Dead Sea. I feel like nothing can live in me. I feel broken. Turn your life to God and watch him bring you back to life. I encourage you. I love you guys.